Hi. In our last conversation, we were introduced to the concept of pragrihya, a label given to some sounds in the grammar that blocks any sandhi application to them under the circumstances described. So we started with idu de dvivachanam pragrhyam, idu de dvivachanam pragrhyam, dirga I, dirga U, dirga A in the dvivachanam get the name pragrhyam. And we know that because of the sutra Pluta pragrhya achinityam, that when a vowel follows achi pare, both Pluta and pragrhya nityam will stay as they are forever. So the next several sutras are continuations of that theme and giving labels, pragrhya sanya, to various sounds in certain situations in the grammar. Some of these, like this one, are very brief. One of them is only one letter. And I always think of these sutras a little bit like icebergs with a tiny little bit showing out of the water visibly and an awful lot underneath sometimes. I also have a particular fondness for sutras that apply to sometimes not just one word, but to one form of one word, because to me they really make vivid and real, tangible, the beautiful complexity and completeness of the grammar, as if it were a huge tapestry where every thread is revealing some beautiful fine point of the enormous tapestry of the language. And that, to me, gives it a feeling of authenticity and power. Anyway, so this is one of those. So the next sutra, 1112, adasomat. Adasomat. When we break it down, adasaha mat. Adasaha mat. Now, adasaha is shashti of adas. Shashti of adas. Here, adas is used as what's called an anukarana shabda. Anukarana shabda. It's not a pronoun here. It's the imitation of the sound of the pronoun. It refers to the pronoun itself as an entity. Now, there are a couple of particular features of that. One is that it referring to adas as its entire being, you could say, means all of the forms of adas. And that becomes important in a moment. Also, it's worth pointing out that we have been very attuned to Shashti Sthana Yoga. Shashti Sthana Yoga, where Shashti is linked to Sthane and has the meaning of in place of, Ikoguna Vritti. But in this case, the Shashti of Adas is not Sthane. It's Shashti in one of its very many day jobs, and because of that, it's not Sthane is not present. In fact, I imagine the applicable sutra might be Shashti Sheshe, Shashti Sheshe 2350, which is Shashti in the sense of something that pertains or belongs to something else. So here it means the of adas, the of adas. Well, that's a little peculiar because adas doesn't seem to have any in it. However, since we know that adas is standing for all of the forms of the pronoun adas, we will find that indeed there are ms and adas, including ami and amu, for instance. So here we have Adasaha Mat, the Mat pertaining to Adas. Now, Mat itself is Panchami, and just as as we had Tasminiti Nirdishte Purvasya Saptami in Achipare, when we said Pluta Pragrihya Achipare, when a vowel follows Pluta Apragrihya, then there's Nityam. Tasmat, or the Panchami, is the twin, the mirror image, and it means what follows what follows So that's Tasmadityuttarasya. Tasmadityuttarasya. Again, that's a sutra in which Panini denotes the case, Panchami, by the use of tasmat. So just as we had tasmin. So putting it together, the anuvritihi, which is id ut et pragrhyam, we get the full sutra of Adasahamat, id ut et pragrhyam. You can note that the anuvritihi is everything except dvivachanam. So the full sutra, Adasahamat, id ut et pragrhyam. Any dirgha e, u, and a which follows of the pronoun adas gets the name pragrihya. So an e, u, a of adas that follows gets named pragrihya. It's the vowel that gets the name. So what's the big deal? Well, dvivachanam is what was left out of the anuvritihi, and that's the deal, because it means that e, u, a, which follow the of adas, get the name pragrihya regardless of whether or not they're dvivachanam. So the examples are ami, as in ami ishaha, and amu asate. There's no example of the a for adas. Now, if we look at ami ishaha, ami is bahuvachana. So ami would not. Ami needs to have the name pragrihya, because ami ishaha must not be modified by sandhi. So that makes sense. This is covering a form that idude dvivachanam pragrhyam wouldn't foresee, because it's not dvivachanam. But then the other example, classic example of this sutra, the somat, is amu asate. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Amu is actually dvivachanam. So either this whole sutra is there just for ami, adding ami, but why is amu an example of it? Well, we are going to have to just touch on one of the most magical structural features of the grammar, which is called asiddhatvat, or non-existence or invisibility. So the last quarter of the last chapter, the 8th chapter of Ashtadhyayi, is every sutra in that, every sequential sutra in that last quarter of the last chapter is invisible or non-existent to every sutra before it. So not just to the sutras before the invisibility begins, but including all the sutras within the last quarter of the last book. So purvatra siddham, regarding what proceeds from here on, is invisible. So it's very, very cool. just a second. Sorry, my computer was acting up. So this is a very, very cool thing. Now, why it's worth our mentioning it is that one way of understanding why Amu is relevant here, since it is Dvivachana, is that the derivation, the grammatical derivation in Ashtadhyayi of Amu begins with a form a day, and a day is converted into Amu in the middle of the Asiddha portion of the grammar. What that means is the fact that a day has become Amu is invisible to Idu de Dvivachanam Puragurhyam. So there is no Dvivachanam to be named Puragurhya by the sutra that normally derives it. And so as a result of that, there has to be a special acknowledgement of Amu here and giving it the name of Pragurhya because it is a dirgha u following of a das. That's quite a mouthful, but there you have it. Now there's one other question. Commentary says, Mat Kim. And I love this form of commentary. It seems so sort of casual and offhand. Mat Kim. How come Mat? Why Mat? Well, the explanation is that there's a form of adas which involves a particle, which is amuke. Now, in the case of amuke, we do not want that a of amuke to be pragurhya. So it's voided. Its application of pragurhya is voided to the a of amuke because it follows the k and not the m. So that's one way of explaining the mat part of the sutra. So it's all kind of fun, and if you find that's fun, you're probably in the right place. Idu de Dvivachanam Pragurhyam, now adaso mat. Bye.